Okay, so we will continue our uh, lecture on blood vessels. On the previous lecture, we have talked about type of blood vessels, which is arteries and veins. So arteries, there are aorta, pulmonary trunk, and then smaller size of arteries, and then also arterioles. On the vein side, the biggest one is called the vena cava, and then medium-sized veins and venules. And we already have talked that venules and the arterioles, they combined to create a capillary, which is the place for exchange. We also have talked about the circulations. Uh, and also we have talked about three different type of capillaries. Now we will discuss about the differences between arteries and the veins. So we're going to compare the structure of the arteries and veins. So as you see here, okay, so this is just showing us, you actually able to see the blood vessels under the skin. Mostly the one that look like this is a vein. Okay. Uh, Now, if we compare the structure between the artery and the veins, we will be able to see clearly actually that the artery will have a bigger muscle over here. You see this one, the bigger muscle. Because what? Because the function of artery is to distribute, carry the blood into the tissue, and they require bigger muscles in order to distribute the blood to different tissues. Whilst if you see over here, the vein has a smaller muscle. So they don't really distribute the blood. They just receive the blood from the tissue and return it back to the heart. Now, if we see, both of them actually have three main layers. Okay, three main layers. The outer layers over here is called the tunica externa. It is made of connective tissue, mostly fiber tissue. And then the second layer is tunica media. So media means middle. And again, this tunica media is actually consists of the smooth muscle. And we just comparing that the muscle of the artery is bigger. Now, the inside layer is called the tunica intima, and this is consists mostly of epithelial tissue. Okay, so it is epithelial tissue, the tunica intima. And then inside here, of course, this is the lumen of the artery, which is where the blood will be located. So this is the lumen of the vein where the blood is located. Now we see this is under the microscope. Again, if you see these bigger muscles, okay, stronger, this is going to be the artery. Okay, so this is artery. This is the lumen of the artery where the blood located. And this one over here is the vein. Okay, it has thinner muscles. Okay. And this is again the function of the vein is to return blood to the heart, while the function of the artery is to carry blood from the heart. Now, we're gonna look deeply the structure of this artery. Again, the outer layer over here. This is the tunica externa, consists of uh, elastic fiber, which is this is a connective tissue. Okay. And then this over here, is the tunica media consists of smooth muscle. So this is a smooth muscle. Remember, smooth muscle is involuntary muscle. It will contract automatically. And then the tunica uh, interna, or also known as tunica media over here, uh, tunica interna, I'm sorry, tunica interna, which is called also tunica intima. Okay, tunica intima. And this is consists of epithelial tissue. It's called the endothelium. This is one layer of endothelium. And this is the place, okay, where the blood will be carried in the lumen and where the sum of blood, like a white blood cell, able to actually squeeze into the through the endothelium. So this again, three main layers of arteries. Tunica externa outside, tunica media is middle, consists of smooth muscle, and tunica interna or intima mostly consists the epithelial tissue. Now the function, I mentioned before, the function of the artery is to carry blood from the heart to the tissue. Okay? However, there are actually two types of artery based on function. So this is based on function. Okay? First, there is a artery, it's called the conducting artery, and this is very elastic. Therefore, it's also known as elastic artery. So this artery actually is the one that the first arteries that receive the blood from the heart. And this artery will be very elastic because it's required to be, elastic when it's receive the pressure from the heart. So example of this conducting or elastic artery, of course, the aorta, which is the one that coming out from the left ventricle, and the pulmonary trunk. This is the one that is coming out from the right ventricle. So both of these bigger artery, the aorta and pulmonary trunk, they are also known as conducting artery or elastic artery. So they don't really distribute the blood. They just receive the blood from the heart and conducting it into smaller arteries. The smaller arteries then become what we call the distributing artery because this is the one that distributes the blood. It is also known as contractile or muscular arteries because they have a muscle that will, distribute the blood from one tissue, okay, also in the capillaries. So they're distributing the blood into the tissue, into the capillaries. Example of this, of course, the medium-sized arteries and of course the arterioles. This is the main distributing artery because this one is actually the one that distributes the blood to the tissue in the capillary. Okay, now when we compare between the conducting artery and the distributing artery, you will see the difference over here. This is the elastic artery, which is aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So this is conducting artery. Uh, the tunica interna is a stronger. Okay, tunica externa, which is the fiber connective tissue, it is a stronger and elastic. So this is elastic. So it can uh, become bigger, okay, or wider when it receives the pressure from the blood that is pumped from the heart. And then tunica media, so this is also have the smooth muscle and tunica intima. This is the muscular artery. This is mostly the medium-sized artery. Okay, it has uh, tunica externa is not really elastic. Okay. And then tunica media, which is the smooth muscle, and tunica intima, the endothelium or the epithelial tissue. And this is the arterioles. This is the real distributing artery. If you see this muscle over here, it will pump the blood or distribute the blood in the capillary. The tunica externa now is kind of thinner compared to the tunica media, compared to the muscle. So this muscle, the smooth muscle, is a lot bigger or thicker compared to this tunica externa. They don't really require this to be thick. eh. And this is the tunica intima, which is the endothelium or epithelial tissue. So these are the three different structure of artery, whether elastic, the medium size, or the arterioles, which is the main distributing arteries. Now again, this is the conducting artery over here, which is elastic. Because what? Because they just receive, okay, it just receive the pressure from the heart. So it is required to be elastic. It's required to be elastic. When the heart pumping the blood, it will be wider. But when the heart relax over here, during diastole, this one is become smaller because of this elasticity. So this is the aorta, which is elastic or conducting artery. Now look at this arterioles over here. So you see the muscle, muscle, muscle. Okay, the muscle. You don't really see the external, the tunica externa over here. They don't really need that one actually. So they have a lot of muscle that will be able to press the blood, distribute the blood into this capillary. Okay, so these are the distributing arteries over here, which is arterioles. As we know that arterioles with the venules will make or will create this capillary. And capillary is the place for exchange, nutrients, hormone, gases, and many more. Okay, so it will be exchanged in the capillary within the tissue or organ. Again, we have mentioned a little bit about capillaries last time. So this is capillaries. Okay, this is a microscopic vessels that form the microcirculation that connect the arterioles and the venules. So this is the capillary. This is under the microscope. Okay, you see the endothelium, red blood cell, etc. It will distribute or deliver the hormones, nutrients like glucoses, amino acids, lipids, fatty acids, and many more. Okay, it will be exchanged in this capillary. Okay, so again, this is the capillary, which is created by this site, which is the arterial site and the venule site. And the blood will be going from arterioles into the venule. And then it will be distributed into smaller capillary bed to exchange with the cell. So around here, there will be a lot of cell that will receive the nutrient or oxygen. So in this side, the oxygen, the nutrient will be distribute, will be pressed out, and then go to the cell. On the other side over here, the cell actually produce waste product. It then will go to this venule site to be delivered into the wasting area. Okay, in the waste place like maybe the lungs or the kidney letters. Okay, so this is again the capillary bed. Now, how these nutrients and gas exchange happenings in the capillary? There are three movement of materials in capillary. The first movement is called diffusion. This is mostly for smaller molecules, especially oxygen, carbon dioxide. They can be exchanging by diffusion process, which is movement of molecules from higher concentrations to the lower concentration site. Okay? Other thing like glucoses, amino acid, hormone, they also can be delivered or moved through this diffusion. But remember, when we talk about diffusion, there are two types of diffusion: simple diffusion and the facilitated diffusion. So you should remember this from the previous class. When we talk about cell transport across membrane, there is diffusion that consists of actually three types. Okay, simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. Okay, so diffusion is part of the passive transport. Remember, there are two types of transport: passive transport and active transport. Now, the second type of movement is called the transcytosis, which is this is an active transport using physical. It's called the physicals that carry the materials from one side to another side. So basically, the materials will be carried by smaller kind of organelles. It's called the physical. So this is a physical transport, transcytosis. So like for example, maybe hormone over here will be carried by this physical transport. And the most important, especially for nutrients, is called the bulk flow, which is the flow of material due to higher pressure. Okay, higher pressure. So remember, artery receive the blood from the heart, which is from the pumping of the blood. And this pumping of the blood will produce the pressure into the artery. So many materials will actually push out from the artery or the arterioles in the capillary into the cell using this type of movement. It's bulk flow, okay? Movement of materials due to the pressure. And bulk flow is really important. This is movement of material due to the pressure, and it will create the arterial site. It's called the filtration. So it will move the materials into the cell. And in the venule site, because the venules will have less pressure, okay, the materials actually, like a waste material, is actually moving back into the blood vessel. So filtration is from blood vessel to the cell out, okay? And then reabsorption is from the cell into the blood vessel. And again, this is also due to the pressure because in this site, the pressure in the cell or in the tissue will be higher than the pressure in the blood vessel. While in this side over here, in the arteriolis side, the pressure will be higher inside the blood vessel compared to the cell in the tissue. Therefore, the material will be moved out from the blood vessel into the cell in the tissue. Okay, this is maybe better illustrations for this. So this is the arterial side over here. Okay, you're gonna see the pressure is about 35 milligram mercury. So this is a pressure in the arterioles. eh? While the pressures in the outside over here is around 26, it means that's lower pressure. Therefore, okay, this pressure will actually create the pressure that will push the material out from the arterial side. And this movement is called filtration. Okay, so this part over here is filtration. Okay, so when it's going out, and what happened because the pressure higher, then the pressure is become lower. It's about maybe 16 now. It's lower, and then the pressure of the cell over here, the tissue, is 26. So you can see the pressure outside is not is now is higher. Therefore, the material will be entering into the venule side. So this is the venule side. Okay, so this is the venule side. Okay, so the materials, which is especially the waste material, will be entering here, where the nutrient will be out from this side. Okay, so it will create the net filtrations around 1 milligram pressure, 10, and then the net pressure over here, which net reabsorption, but minus 9 milligram mercury. And remember, it has to be balanced. What is the one? The one will be entering into this lymphatic tissue. So lymphatic tissue also will be present in the capillary to take extra pressure. It will carry into the blood circulation to at the end over here. It's gonna be balanced. It's gonna be one also. Okay, it's gonna be 10. Pressure 9 plus 1 over here is also 10. So it's gonna be balanced. Okay, again, this is the arterial side. So it's going to be filtration, which is the material will be out from the uh, capillary in this side, in the venous side, because the pressure is higher. Okay, and then in the middle, there's going to be zero pressure over here. It's going to be reabsorption. Because the pressure outside of it is actually higher than the pressure inside the phenol side. So this is what we call the reabsorption. So this is arterial side. This is the venous side. Now we have learned this. There are three types of capillary, continuous. It's most organ have this type of capillary. Okay, continuous capillary, fenestrated, especially this is in the kidney because it's require bigger holes in order to remove some bigger waste material to be filtered to create the urine. And then the sinusoid, mostly in the rat bone marrow, is require even bigger hole in order to make the cell able to move into these capillaries. Okay, so over here, the cell will not be able to move through this continuous capillary, and also bigger molecule like maybe proteins will be staying here. Uh, in this side over here, of course, the cell is really big. It will not move out, but smaller or little bit bigger molecule, maybe amino acid, may be able to go through this hole. Okay, so these are the difference between continuous, fenestrated, and sinusoid type of capillaries. Now, sometimes in some organ, some people have a problems. They have extra water or liquid on their organ. like for example, in liver, for example. And what is caused is actually maybe due to excess filtration. So too much water actually released on that organ and not enough reabsorption. So it's going to be extra water in that organs. So if it is above 30%, then the organ start to have abnormality. And this one is called the edema. So edema is extra or swelling of organs due to excess filtration and inadequate reabsorption. Now we're gonna look at the vein. Okay, so the vein structure, we have talked about artery structure before. The vein structure is a thinner wall, and the medium size of vein, they actually have this. This is really important. So this is a valve that actually make the blood only going one direction. It's just going up for here to return the blood to the heart. Okay, so the blood will not going down because it will be closing. So blood only go one way. So this is what we call the valve that presence in the vein. So the vein has a special structure. Inside is called the valve. Okay. Some people have a problem with the valve. The valve is leaky. So what happened? It's gonna be blood going hard down here, and then the blood vessel, the vein itself become bigger, and this what we call the varicose. Okay, varicose uh, vessels. So the vessel is become bigger. We actually can see that sign on their skin, especially the lower part of their body, like on the leg, the skin of the leg. Okay. Now we compare different type of vein. So the large vein, which is vena cava, there are two vena cava, superior and inferior. They they are big, so this is a really large space over here, and they don't have the valve. So there is no valve in vena cava. The medium size, this is the one that have the valve, okay, in order to block the blood going back to the tissue. So it's just go one direction to the heart. Okay? This is in the smaller vein. In the venule, there is also no valve. Okay, the venules, remember the venule is the blood vessel or the vein that create the capillary with the arterioles. So the valve is only present in the small or smaller or medium-sized vein. It's called just vein. So venules, again, this is the smaller veins. This is the one that create the capillaries with the arterioles. We already mentioned this, varicose vein, which is a leaky vein. So the valve is actually leaky. And then what happens? The blood will actually going down and then causing the vein to be bigger. And we can see that, okay, in here. So this is actually varicose vein, where the vein is actually leaky. So this is on the leg. Now, distribution of blood. Where is the blood mostly located? So 84% blood is actually in the systemic circulation. Okay. And 9% is in the pulmonary circulation. 7% in the heart circulation. You see, the heart is very small organ compared to our body, but it receive, it has about 7% of blood circulate in the heart itself, which is in the heart muscle. Remember the heart muscle, the cardio uh, muscle. Okay, so cardiac muscle is which is myocardio. Okay, is requires a lot of oxygen in order to always contract it. Okay, so the heart muscle never stop contraction. So they receive 7% of our blood. In the systemic circulation, most of the blood actually stay in the systemic vein. So it is in the vein, and 13% in the arteries. Okay. Uh, and then 7% is in the capillary. Okay, so these are distributions of blood, okay, in our body. Of course, 80% will be in the systemic because, we have a lot of organ. So the blood will, be in the systemic circulation more compared to the pulmonary and the coronary circulation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about hemodynamics, which is mostly talking about the dynamic of the blood, and this is also known as blood pressure. Okay, so blood pressure is affected by several factors over here, like the cardiac output, the blood volume, viscosity of the blood, eh, resistance of the blood vessel, and also the elasticity of the arteries. Okay, so sometimes when someone get older, they have problem here. Okay, the blood mostly sometimes more viscous, more sticky, and the blood vessel is kind of is not elastic anymore. Therefore, increase the resistance, and also the arteries is also not elastic, less elastic, and usually it will cause that person to be having a higher blood pressure. Okay, so this is blood pressure uh, affected by this kind of things. Okay, and then usually when we measure the blood pressure, we have two number, which is the top number and the bottom number. So usually write it as 120 over 80. Okay, so 120 is actually measuring the blood pressure in the arteries when the heart muscle is pumping the blood or contracted. So this is also known as a systole. So this is the systole pressure. The lower number over here is actually measuring the blood pressure when the heart ventricle is relaxed. So this is diastole. Okay, so measuring the diastole pressure. Okay, so this is what we measure. So the higher pressures mostly in the aorta and arteries. Okay, and then it's going down until close to zero in vena cava. So the blood pressure in the vein is actually really low compared to blood pressure in the arteries. Cases in the arteries, we measure the blood pressure 120 per sample during contraction and around 80 during relaxation. Okay, so these are the pressure that actually coming from the arteries. We can also measure the pulse rate. Okay, this is some arteries that can be used to measure the pulse rate. Usually, normally, is around 72 beats per minute. Okay, so this is the pulse, normal pulse rate between 72, maybe 75 beats per minute. We can also measure the blood pressure using the sphygmomanometer. Okay, usually give the sound, and the first sound will be here, and the second sound will be coming from here. Okay, so this one usually give you, telling you this is a systole, and this one over here is the diastole. Okay, usually systole is higher than diastole because systole mean contraction, diastole mean relaxation. So the pressure during contraction will be a lot higher compared during relaxation. Okay, so usually normally maybe give around 120 systole and 80 diastole. Now this is comparisons blood vessels based on diameter. Eh? Look at this one. This is vena cava. It has a very high diameter, and this is aorta. Okay. And over here is capillary, arterioles, and the venules. They have a very small diameter. However, because there are so many capillaries in our body, the total area for this capillary is actually bigger compared to the aorta or the vena cava over here because we only have one aorta. There are only two vena cava compare of thousands capillary in our body. Okay, so based on the total area, capillary actually bigger. Now look at the pressure, blood pressure. Again, higher will be in the aorta, lower will be in the vena cava. Okay? And this is the capillary around here, around 35. Remember, 35 is normal blood vessel in capillary in order to have normal gas or nutrient exchange. And this is the velocity, yeah, the flowing, the speed of the blood flowing. Of course, it's going to be really high in the aorta because this is where the blood is pumped from the heart. So its velocity will be higher. And it's going to be very, very slow in capillary. Why? Because we need time to exchange the nutrients in the capillary. Therefore, the blood is flowing really slow in this capillary in order to create the exchange, give the time to exchange between the blood vessels and the tissue. And it's going to be higher again, okay, in the vena cava before entering into the atrium of the heart. Now, there is sometimes there is a problem with this blood pressure, with the circulations. Some lipid, like cholesterol, for example, can block the circulation. And this is what we call the atherosclerosis. So atherosclerosis is a blocking of blood circulation due to of the fat that actually stay or bind into the blood vessel. And this is also known as the plaque. So the plaque usually created by lipid molecules such as the cholesterol. It can cause the arteries, the lumens become really, really narrow. And this is under the microscope showing the plaque, the atherosclerosis. This is the one that can cause the cardiovascular disease or cardio arterial disease. This is showing us in the vein, okay, the vein, the pressure or the flowing of the blood can be also assisted by these contractions of muscle. Okay, so the contraction of muscle can press this vein, and because remember there is a valve, when it is pressed, then the blood will only go one way, going up over here to the heart. So this is really important actually in order to create normal distribution. We need to be active over here. So we need to make sure our muscle contracted, like for example, exercise. It will increase the blood flowing that going back to the heart. This is again the summary of the circulations. Okay, so let's say we look at the systemic circulation over here. When it is started, yes, it is started from left ventricles over here. Okay, so left ventricles, okay, going up aorta, remember, and then going to the capillary, eh? And then written it this. This is gonna be vein, and combine together to make this vena cava. If it is coming from bottom part of our body, then it's gonna be inferior vena cava, enter into the right atrium. Okay? And this color is telling you, the red color over here is telling you this blood is rich. So this is rich blood, which is it has a lot of oxygen. Okay? So going here, a lot of oxygen, exchange become poor. So in this side, it's gonna be poor blood, okay? Which is deoxygenated blood. Now, this DX oxygenated blood or the poor blood will go down to the right ventricle, right? And then it's going to be pumped into the lung. So start the pulmonary circulation over here. So the color telling you this is artery, and the color telling you this is poor blood going to the lungs. There is an oxygen exchange with the carbon dioxide. On this side is going to be vein. Okay, so this is vein. It has red color because it has a lot of oxygen, and it will return to the left atrium. So left atrium has a lot of oxygen going down to the left ventricle, pump into the whole body, become systemic circulation again. So these two circulation is actually okay. They they are continue. Okay? So it's gonna be called the close circulation close circulation because the blood is actually stay in the blood vessel. It's not going anywhere. So between the systemic pulmonary, they are actually continuous circulation. And this is what we call the close circulation. This is just giving us information that circulations is really important because this actually carry a lot of things to the organs. For example, if we combine between the cardiovascular system and digestive system, the cardiovascular system will take a lot of nutrients that is, product of the digestions in our intestine. It will be delivered to other part of the body. So our digestive system digests the food, produce the nutrients. Nutrients will be absorbed by the blood vessel and then delivered to the whole body. They have to go to the heart first, yeah, in order to be pumped into the whole body. Endocrine system, yeah, so remember endocrine system, endocrine gland, they produce hormones, and many hormone actually has to be delivered through the blood, whether lipid soluble or water soluble hormone. We have learned, how they are different in transportation in the blood. The lipid soluble hormone require lipoprotein, require protein to be delivered, while the water soluble hormones, they are freely delivered in the blood. Integrated system, for example, carry, the blood vessel carry a lot of things like, for example, clotting factors, platelets, white blood cell in case, there is a damage in our skin, problem in our skin. They usually receive the lot of nutrients, including clotting factor, platelets, and white blood cell to help us. And then lymphatic system. This is the system that has a lot of white blood cell. So this is the place for immune system. So this lymphatic system or immune system is the same thing. So blood is needed to deliver this white blood cell. Remember, there are five white blood cells, neutrophils, lymphocyte, monocyte, eosinophil, and basophil. They actually mostly circulate in the lymphatic system. Muscular system, blood deliver a lot of oxygen for this muscle in order to be contracted, also deliver the calcium and other nutrients into this muscle. Nervous system also require a lot of oxygen. Our brain require maybe around 20% of oxygen and 20% of glucose. Okay, oxygen and glucose. So you can imagine that. So the blood deliver this necessity for the brain. And we have problem with this delivery, then someone will get a stroke. Okay? Reproductive system, of course, the blood vessel carry a lot of nutrients for our reproductive system, including also aids in erection, uh, and some other hormones also will be produced by this testicle, for example, or ovaries. It will be delivered by the blood. Respiratory, this is one of the most important organ that make sure we have enough oxygen eh, that will be delivered to the whole body. Skeletal system, the blood will provide the bone with the calcium, for example, in order to be strong, with other proteins, collagens, and etc. And urinary system, the blood carry the waste material into this kidney, and the kidney will filter it and then produce the urine. And so this some connection between cardiovascular system and with some other system that we have. Uh, Syncope, this is a sudden uh, fainting and temporary loss of consciousness. Okay, some people might have these problems. There are some causes like vasodepression, syncope, sudden emotional stress, pressure stress of coughing, diuretic, and also decrease in blood pressure when we are standing from uh, laying down, for example. Sometimes we feel that loss of consciousness. Some people maybe fall down. Some people may be able to grab something to protect them from falling down. I think that's all for this blood vessels. And in the lab, we will learn the blood vessel itself one by one through the models. So I hope we will be able to meet in the lab tomorrow. Goodbye.